So hello everyone and welcome to the Deercast. Today we're going to be giving you some guidance on what to do when it all goes wrong when you've been reloading. And what we mean by that is you've probably constructed, hopefully by this stage, some bullets. You've possibly gone out and tested them and they either haven't grouped as well as you were hoping. You've possibly got unreliable primers in the bottom of them, and so some of them are going off, some of them aren't going off. They may possibly not be chambering in your rifle as smoothly as you'd like to, possibly didn't resize them properly, possibly you've seated the bullets too long, possibly you've even seated the bullets too short, so they're too far down into the case. Whatever the reason, there's no shame in it. If you've been reloading, eventually you'll come across this problem. When I first started reloading, I thought the solution to it was to take a pair of pliers, grab this bullet head here, pull it out of case, and essentially discard the bullet, reclaim the powder, and start all over again. There are actually two very simple and easy solutions to it. The first one is a bullet puller, or a kinetic hammer like this, So this works by unscrewing this top bit here. There's a small collet inside that you sit over the head of your case, so this end here, and when you screw all this back together, it will leave this bullet essentially suspended like this, and the bottom of this section is all completely hollow, and we're not going to show you how to do this live on this video, but once that is then screwed into place in there, you hammer this onto the floor or onto a hard surface, and momentum essentially drives the bullet out of the mouth of the case, and eventually all the components drop into the bottom of this hollow tube here, with the case left suspended because it's screwed and attached into the top section sitting up there. So you can then reclaim and reuse every single component from this. The only thing to say is that because you're using momentum to drive the bullet out of the case, is that sometimes, especially with these, because these are constructed out of hard plastic, unless you put something in the bottom here to protect, particularly if they're ballistic tip bullets like this one, the tip of the bullet, what you'll find is as that hits the bottom of this plastic here, it can sometimes deform. It also, because just the nature of it, you're hammering this down, I do sometimes find with this you don't necessarily get a perfect seal, so you do sometimes find kernels of powder coming out of this, and so you can't necessarily rely on all the powder that's in there to be the exact collected amount or exact amount you dispensed right at the very beginning, and therefore I wouldn't ever just put that powder straight back into the case and assume it was exactly the same amount as what I started with. These are good. They're particularly good if you've seated a bullet perhaps slightly too far into the case, because you can use this to sort of gently tap and wait until that bullet comes out far enough that it reaches the level you were hoping for. They're quite good if you need to do one or two sort of bullets to dismantle, but to be honest, if I've got a big batch that I need dismantling, I tend to use this, which is seated on the press over my shoulder, which is a bullet puller, and essentially that works on your press. There's a collet in the top, and we'll include a little inset here showing how it works. But you put your bullet into your press, drive the ram, which sends the bullet up into, you can see just over here, the top of this collet die. You then pull the handle on the collet die, and it grips round the centre, or around the edge, of the bullet. So it grips it like this, like the pair of pliers I very first started with. And then when you pull the ram down again, so driving the case down, you're essentially pulling the two bits apart. Works very, very well. It's much easier and quicker to do if you're dealing with sort of big quantities of bullets. The only disadvantage potentially to them is that if you have that collet adjusted slightly too tight, what you'll find is that when you pull the handle down and it grips around the bullet, is that it can leave marks on there. But to be honest, once you've got them adjusted properly, they're absolutely fine, very easy to use, and I find, to be honest, quicker than something like this. In terms of price, that one there over my shoulder is the Hornady collet bullet puller. and I think I managed to pick that up for about £25. One of these, Kinetic Hammer, yes, you can get them cheaper, but again, I think I picked this one up for sort of £17-18, so there's not a massive price difference between the two of them. Anyway, please don't feel bad if you have got to this stage and you have made yourself a batch of bullets that you're now dismantling. It happens to all of us as part of the process. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and as per usual, please remember to comment, like and subscribe.